Hey there. So I wanted to come on here and talk about thoughts because I think that is such an important thing, and it's something that I talk to my clients about all the time. Actually, it's probably one of the key things that I speak to them about because realistically, people won't change unless they change their mind, and that's just the way it is. You have to have your mind in the right place. And I was only talking to one of my lovely clients last night when we were doing a class about the power of the mind and the power of our thoughts and how our thoughts can actually change your perception. And I think that's a really key thing that I just want to talk about, mainly because it's also very personal in my own journey and something that I had to work on a lot. And I also know what a difference it can make to people's lives when you actually identify and think about what it is that you're thinking, why you're thinking, and being able to basically retrain your brain, which is what you can do. And it's really, really powerful when you discover that really your future and how you go about life and what your future looks like can really be manipulated by the way you think. And we have a bit of a choice in that, which is really incredible. The thing is with this, and I find this probably the hardest out of everything, is that the mind and the thoughts can be one of the most challenging and one of the most hardest things definitely I've ever had to do. And I know it can be so hard because it's so easy for people to make excuses and whatnot because it's just too difficult. So I totally understand that, but I know for myself, it was something that I was forced to do simply because I basically had no other option. And if I wanted to improve my life, I knew that I had to change my mind. And that was probably one of the hardest realizations, was when I realized I was the only person that could actually help myself. And I actually spent probably months and months and months monitoring my thoughts and having to change every single thought from something that was negative, well, not every single one, but a lot of them, from negative to what could either be a positive or a more neutral thought. And this took a lot of time. It took a lot of energy. It was absolutely exhausting, but it was probably one of the most valuable things that I've ever done in my whole entire life. And the reason why it's so important, and this is what I often talk to my clients about, is that the technical term is neuroplasticity. But basically what happens is our brain works in a way, like everything in our body, where it'll take the path of least resistance. So if it has an easier option, and often does this with exercise and movement and different things like that, if there's an easier option, the brain does it, or it just goes down the usual way that's habit. So if you get into a point of your life where you're constantly thinking negative thoughts, after a while the brain and the body and everything, they just send the thoughts down that same line because it's the way it always goes. It's the way, and it's a pathway that it continues. So the power that we have, and it's simply through choosing, which can be hard, and putting in the effort and the time and reevaluating, is that we can create a new pathway. And that's one of the most exciting things that I think I discovered, and it changes my whole perception. But I often explain to my clients, the thing with this is it's a bit like creating a new road. So if you're used to traveling down that same highway, but then you decide that you're going to change the way you go, to begin with, it's going to be bumpy. It's going to be like you're pushing away and you're building a new track. But if you continue to force yourself to go along that road continuously, time after time after time, eventually the track will become a bit of a road, then it'll become like a really well-worn road. And if you continue to force yourself down that track, then eventually it's going to become your main highway. It's going to be the way that you always go. And that can be the difference of whether you then see everything in life in like a negative point of view because that's the way your brain's trained to go, or whether you see everything in a positive point of view. So it can be the difference if something happens of going, oh, of course that would happen to me, or whether you could be going, well, it's not ideal, but things could be worse and let's move on with it. So as you can see, it can change your entire perception on how you see life. And that's really powerful because it's our thoughts and our views and our perception on life as to how our life is actually framed and to how we see it. So if we're in the habit of actually seeing everything in a really positive point of view, then that creates a positive lifestyle. And that's amazing. And then you can also go on to whether that then enhances law of attraction and things like that, which could be another call and talk altogether. But in saying that, it is super powerful. So I think it's kind of exciting to realize that we do have the power within ourselves to change our lives, and it all starts with the mind. So if you can do anything for yourself today, I would say my top tips were stop and think of 3 things you're grateful for. And if you do happen to find yourself thinking a negative thought, would be just to stop, reevaluate it, and see if you can find something neutral or positive about the situation, and then continue on with your day. Anyway, that's my top tips for today. Okay, bye.